All right, guys. So a follow-up to the General Milley story, okay? As allegedly he made some calls to a Chinese general that were very treasonous, to say the least, right? At the very least, he was offering to commit an act of treason if it was not outright treason. To me, it seemed like treason, okay? Telling the general that if the president of the United States decided to attack you, right, we will warn you first, right? I'll tell you first, okay? And also he talked about how he told his staff around him that if Trump wanted to launch a nuclear attack, that it had to go through him, right? Basically, he's saying that he's running this piece, okay? Undermining the civilian leadership of the military, which is a fundamental aspect of our constitutional republic, guys, and democracy, okay? And you would think that during a time like this, that both sides would put their politics aside and do the right thing and call for this man to be fired and or court-martialed. So Trump, of course, because he was kind of involved in this, right? The man was going behind Trump's back. He was president at the time, okay? The commander-in-chief, he had a whole lot to say about this, but I'm going to read a little bit of what he had to say for time's sakes, in which he says, quote, "If the story of dumbass General Mark Milley is true, then I assume he would be tried for treason and that he would be dealing with his Chinese counterpart behind the president's back and telling China that he would give them notification of an attack," Trump said in a statement. Now, guys, I don't know about y'all, but I like it when Trump curses, right? I like cursing Trump a lot better than tame Trump as of right now. Right now, when Trump was in office, I like tame Trump better. But when Trump's out of office, I kind of like loose cannon Trump. And to be quite honest with you. But he also elaborated further in a longer email where he basically said that the part of the story that was fake news is the part about him basically wanting to attack China, right? He basically says, look, I was not going to attack China, right? And I told you guys that when I did my first video on this, Trump was not going to attack anybody. He wasn't launching any nukes, okay? Trump's smart enough to know what that entails, right? He's smart enough to understand that. Okay, what would happen if two nuclear countries went to war with each other? He knows, right? So again, all this fear-mongering from the Democrats about Trump being crazy, Trump gonna launch nukes, gonna attack China, it is purely there to just continue to smear Trump because they know that Trump's basically gonna try to run again in 2024. It's already basically campaign season, guys. But again, you would think that the Democrats, since they care about our constitutional Republican democracy so much, you would think that they would, again, put their politics aside to actually come out here and call for the man to be fired, or at the very least, some type of investigation.
This president, this current president, who follows the Constitution, who's not fomenting an insurrection, who follows the rule of law, has complete confidence in Chairman Milley and him continuing to serve in his role.
And even as Republicans may criticize him and have questions about his suitability to continue, would that be a factor that President Biden would consider, separate from his judgment about how he conducted himself before?
I don't think the president is looking for the guidance of members of Congress who stood by while the president of the United States and the leader of their party fomented an insurrection, and many of them were silent. Go ahead.
Jen, thank you.
Thank you all for being here, and thank you.
Come on, guys.
Sir,
Thank
did
you, guys.
General
Thank you.
Milley do the right thing,
Come on,
sir?
thank you. Let's
In
go.
your
Thank you,
opinion,
guys. Thank you.
General
Come on,
Milley
let's
do
go.
the right
Thank
thing?
I have
Thank you,
great
guys.
confidence in General Milley.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Biden says he has great confidence in General Milley. Guys, imagine defending treason, right? Imagine defending treason. I guarantee you Biden would be saying all that if Milley was doing that behind his back, right? For example, if Milley was doing that with Vladimir Putin, okay, who the Democrats claim they hate so much. I guarantee you Biden wouldn't have great confidence in him if he was doing that under his administration. But before I really comment on what Jen Psaki and Biden are saying here, let's actually listen to the mainstream liberal media in regards to their take on this situation to see if they provide a little bit more objectivity.
And it is a sort of a dramatic telling of some of the final days of the Trump administration, with Chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff Milley talking to his Chinese counterpart not once but twice. Once a few days before the election, and then twice, the second time a little bit after the insurrection, trying to tell the Chinese that, look, you know, we've established a rapport here, you and I, his counterpart, saying nothing's going to happen. We're not going to go to war. And if something were to suddenly occur on our end, I would be sure personally to give you a heads up so we can deal with this together. That revelation there, as a final point, is also being met with swift criticism from other Republicans today here in Washington. Senator Cruz and others suggesting that's almost traitorous behavior from Milley to talk to the Chinese like that. And in fact, Senator Rubio called for Joe Biden to fire him.
Yeah, okay. Good luck with that, because he seems to be the greatest patriot that was on duty during the previous administration. Rosa, let me go to you on this. This is another excerpt. This is General Milley again, who I have to say is emerging as a pretty important and heroic American figure in this era.
Time that Trump was president, I was home saying, please God, make there be an adult who controls this lunatic. I know, I was praying, let there be somebody in the room who holds his arm back when he hits that, but goes to that button. And I blame all the people around him in his cabinet who did not invoke the 25th Amendment. Obviously, he was nuts. We've seen it for 4 years. We saw the crazy behavior. And God bless General Milley for straightening things out. I know that the chain of command is sacrosanct. I understand that. But this was an emergency. This guy, we had a certifiable nutcase in the White House.
Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Mark Milley, facing calls to resign following bombshell revelations in a new book by Bob Woodward and Robert Costa. Joining us now to talk about this is Miles Taylor, former Chief of Staff at the Department of Homeland Security.
The president's own handpicked top U.S. military advisor is saying he thinks that the president of the United States is in such a serious mental state that he's got to take steps to protect the country. Now, John, if you or I had a mental health issue, it would be a concern to friends or family. When it's the commander-in-chief, it's a 5-alarm fire for democracy. That's what Mark Milley saw. That's what we saw when I was in the administration. And I think he probably was trying to take the appropriate actions to prevent the situation from spiraling out of control. The bigger point isn't that Milley was calling his counterpart, which is something that happens every day in our government. They talk to their foreign counterparts to keep communication open. The bigger issue is that for some reason, the president's top military advisor was worried about us maybe going to war with China. Uncertainty about whether he would just turn a tweet into an actual torpedo overnight, or that his bombastic rhetoric would actually mean bombs were being dropped. So Milley was right in being fearful in that time period.
All right, guys. So as you can see there, the mainstream liberal media has basically gone full blown in support of treason, right? They're in support of treason simply because Trump was president. And as you saw from people like Reid, she went as far as to say that General Milley is a patriot, that he's a hero, right? He's a hero. That's what she called him, for committing treason, right? For undermining civilian military leadership. Again, a fundamental foundation of our constitutional republic, right? Our democracy. Again, this is the type of stuff that Democrats claim they care about so much. And like I said, guys, in my last video about this, I'm not surprised at all, because I expect the mainstream liberal media to do this at this point, because they are purely partisan hacks. They're so afraid of Trump. Guys, imagine hating Trump so much that you endorse treason, right? Simply because you hate who the American people elected to be president. Would they be okay if this was done on Obama? If a general went to Putin to tell Putin that, hey, if Obama attacks, don't worry, we're going to let you know ahead of time. Do you think that they would be saying that that's okay? No, I don't think so. They would be calling for that general to be fired. And I hope everybody on both sides of the aisle will be calling for that general to be fired. But what I find interesting, guys, is how when Jen Psaki was asked about this, she deflects to, well, the insurrection, right? Trump led an insurrection. And I'm like, well, first of all, that's a deflection. This has nothing to do with that. These are two different things. You can judge both of these things separately. But also on top of that, was Trump not impeached for that? Did he not have a whole trial because of that? Now, he was found not guilty, but he had a trial. You're not even calling for an investigation. You're not even calling for the man to be court-martialed. At the very least, there should be an investigation to see, okay, is this true? Because if this is true, then it is treason. Or at the very least, it is an offer to commit treason. And also what I find funny is how they keep trying to justify all this by saying, well, Trump's crazy. Trump might go to war with China. Trump might nuke China. You mean the same man that basically spent 3 years trying to get us out of Afghanistan? Right? That guy? The same guy that tried to basically be friends with Kim Jong-un? That guy? The same guy that tried to establish relations with Putin? That guy. That guy that basically has not started any new wars under his administration, which is an accomplishment for a president, right, the United States. That guy is trying to start a last-minute nuclear war with China that would essentially assure the destruction of both countries and the world. You mean to tell me that the guy who, under his foreign policy, we have had more peace than at any point that I can think of in recent history, was trying to start a war with China? Really? Are you dumb or are you stupid? Or are you just a hack? You might be stupid and a hack if you actually believe that. But like I said, guys, this is why I try to tell you about the mainstream liberal media, guys. They are anti-Trump, right? They're more anti-Trump than they are pro-America. Okay? And they want to sit there and talk about putting country over party. You're not putting country over party right now. You're putting party politics, your hate for Trump over the country right now. Imagine trying to defend treason, right? This is what they're doing. This is how low they've stooped. It's not even election season, guys. It's not even campaign season. And they're out here defending treason purely because they hate Trump. If the mainstream liberal media had any integrity whatsoever, this is a shut and closed case where they can be like, yeah, this dude got to go, right? If this is true, you know, he got to go. At the very least, we need an investigation to find out, because we can't have generals going rogue on civilian military leadership. I mean, people elected Trump to make those decisions, not a general, right? Generals are not elected. You know, again, these are the same people who claim to care about the country and democracy so much, but when it comes down to caring about the country and democracy in a situation that a general was trying to undermine Trump, all of a sudden that goes out the window. So you don't have any room to lecture anybody on an insurrection or democracy or anything like that, because obviously you don't believe in it. Obviously you're willing to put your party or your anti-Trump hatred over the country when push comes to shove. So like I said, guys, I'm not surprised at all that this is what the mainstream liberal media is doing. Just for the record, Joy Reid thinks somebody that commits treason is a patriot and a hero, one of the most important figures of our time. Just for the record, I can't believe that she actually went on the record and said that on her show. But just when you think she couldn't ruin her credibility more so than it already is. But hey, she continues to stoop to new lows every single day. I had no expectations for Joy Behar. She doesn't know what the hell she's talking about anyways. And CNN, obviously, the anchors aren't going to say it, but they're going to bring on people to say what they actually want to say in regards to supporting treason. So, not surprised at all. Biden, obviously, ain't worth the bag of chips because he's throwing his support behind General Milley, even though I'm sure he'll be pissed if that happened on him. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.